The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's session on speed court processing with digital transformation, security, and collaboration. My name is Didi Kato. I'm the Senior Director here of Marketing at Foxit Software, and joining me is Jeremy Lindahl. He's the President at eDepoze. I'll show you the agenda in a minute, but before we start, I wanted to get through just some housekeeping items. All attendees are in listen-only mode, so if you have questions during the presentation, please use the question feature located on your screen there. And all the content-related questions will be addressed towards the end of the presentation. However, we invite you to enter those at any time during the session. Okay, so here's the agenda. We're going to start out with eDepoze, with Jeremy talking about the eDepoze, the company, some of the industry challenges around litigations, how eDepoze works, and then the benefits. And then I'll go through basically 8 areas of solutions we're targeting for government. I'll talk about some of the government case studies, and then we'll wrap it up with Q&A at the end. Okay, and with that, I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
Let's see. Thank you, Dee. Let's see if I can take control here. And I assume everybody gets to see a little view of this behind the curtain. First of all, thank you, Dee and Foxit, for allowing us to join the presentation today. It's certainly an honor to not only do business with you guys, but also to present the software, kind of talk a little bit about the challenges that we address and what we've done with your help to bring kind of a new generation to the legal field. So first thing about the company is we're an electronic exhibit software. What we do is we allow an electronic alternative to the paper process that most law firms deal with today. So to put that into perspective, I'm not sure if many of you guys have been in depositions. For your sake, I hope you haven't. They're horrible. But prior to a deposition, most of the documents that are used in a deposition and discussed and reviewed reside in some sort of an electronic format at the law firm. They're using these review tools, using electronic documents, PDFs, TIFFs, various different files to review the documents. And then when they get ready to go to depositions, what they'll do is they'll print them out. They'll make multiple sets, and they will distribute them. They'll ship them around, lug them around, and they'll distribute them at the deposition. Our software really offers an alternative, like I said before. And what it does is it allows attorneys to electronically prepare the potential exhibits prior to the deposition or some other events. And then with an iPad or a laptop, exchange them around the room. So everyone in attendance of the deposition, whether they're in the room or remote, will be able to receive the documents, review them, and do some other things that we'll talk about here in a second. The company was founded in 2012 by Sean Kennedy, who's an ex-litigator from Morgan Lewis. He just, quite frankly, just got tired of lugging boxes around these potential deposition exhibits and decided to come up with kind of a better way. We are used by government agencies, general counsel, law firms internationally. This software is fantastic from an international perspective if you're traveling for depositions, because now you don't have to ship and, again, go through that basic paper process. So we obviously, like I said, we have hundreds of attorneys across the country, but some of the more notable clientele are California Department of Justice, the Los Angeles City Attorney Office, Jones Day, Gibson Dunn, O'Melveny and Myers, Kirkland Ellis, and Foley and Lardner. So we deal a lot with some of those. Those are some pretty big names, but the software is for anybody. It can be a single practice or a sole practitioner. It can be a small law firm. It can be a large law firm. It really, anywhere where they are printing out documents versus using electronic files, there's definitely a fit. So some of our challenges and the things that we found and we needed to address with the legal industry, and especially in this little sliver of it, is what we call the accepted problem, paper. So right now, as I described before, most law firms are printing those documents out. They're dealing with these potential exhibits in paper format. Well, first of all, and by the way, they've done this for years, so it's one of those, just that's the way it's always been done kind of scenarios. But the first thing we address is the cost. To print out multiple sets, really at a nickel or a dime a page, and in some cases up to a quarter, can really start to add up. A box of documents to print those generally costs about $500. You add in the cost of color documents or shipping or extra time to prepare, and the costs really kind of skyrocket. The other one is time. Preparing deposition exhibits takes a tremendous amount of time on both sides. First of all, the taking attorney has to decide what documents they want in the first place, which can be up to the 11th hour of their decision making. And then the support staff, paralegals, secretaries, etc., have to take a lot of time to put all those things together. So it's generally kind of a mad dash, and most people don't enjoy that part of the process. The other thing with paper is it's kind of limited. You can do certain things with it for sure, but zooming into certain sections, annotating to where everyone can see what's happening, these are just things you can't do with paper. So it definitely has some limited abilities. The big one is waste. Generally in these situations, a taking attorney will take, say, 100 potential exhibits, but they'll only introduce a fraction of that, maybe 20. So you're left with 80 that they will either store, which there's a cost to, or they'll shred, which is obviously just pure waste. I have an example I'll give here in a minute of just how big that can be. Data security, obviously cybersecurity is a big topic these days, and a lot of people are looking into this. And as I described before, corporations, government agencies, law firms spend millions of dollars securing and storing their clients' legal documents. And they store those in very secure databases. But when they get ready for depositions or mediations or some of these other events, they print those documents out. And most of the time, they're printing out the important ones. So the data security is definitely compromised once those documents leave that secure environment. And we offer a secure environment for them. And finally, it's just not progressive. Using paper, there's so much technology in the legal field today that this part, all of us jumping back to 1995 or earlier, it's just not, it's not progressive. It's certainly something that now there's an alternative and they can use electronic exhibits versus the paper. So how does it work? Well, I'll walk you through kind of the basics of it, and hopefully these screenshots give you at least some sort of an idea. But prior to the deposition, on the left-hand side, you'll see you're going to create virtual folders. So very similar, and we say this all the time, and it was a big mantra of Sean's, who designed this, was to make it like paper, make it simple, make the customer, make the software fit what the customer is already comfortable with. So the support staff will create folders, they'll name them, just like they would in paper. Then they will upload the files, the PDFs, TIFFs, etc., into those folders. They can name them, they can organize them, they can move them around, do whatever they want prior to the deposition. All right. Then during the deposition, we'll jump over to the right-hand side of the screen here. This is where the attorneys can introduce the documents electronically. And like I said before, the taking attorney can use either an iPad or a laptop. The witness will have an iPad, and so will opposing counsel or anyone that's logged into the secure session. The taking attorney simply has to select the document they want to introduce, tap an icon that says introduce. The system will actually stamp the document. And again, those of you that are familiar with the deposition process, official exhibits get an official exhibit stamp. That's generally done physically today, but with our system, it actually stamps at the time of introduction. And then they just distribute the document around the room. Once they do that, everyone receives their copy on their device. They do have independent access, so they can mark it up, they can jump pages, they can do whatever they want, like I said, just like in paper. So some of the unique features that we offer, and I mentioned before that limited ability, is number one, over here on the left, we've got annotation. So in some depositions, the taking attorney will ask the witness to circle or draw or highlight a certain section of a document. Well, today, that's really only done on one document because that's all they can highlight on. With ours, they can annotate, everyone can see it, everyone can annotate those documents. And then over on the right-hand side is what we call presentation mode. And this is very similar to what we're on right now, kind of a GoToWebinar. This allows the taking attorney to open up a document, share it with everyone so that everyone can see what he and the witness, or he or she and the witness, are working on. So if they annotate or he draws a line to a certain section of a document or maybe zooms in, everyone sees that interaction between the witness and the taking attorney. And the taking attorney can also hand that over to the witness, and the witness can take control of the document. So they can annotate. And again, what we found in presentation is it really speeds up the deposition process. There's no more fumbling witnesses. There's no more, you have a large document, everyone's trying to get to page 75, et cetera. It just makes it go faster. Authentication of documents seems to go quicker. We find that a lot more attorneys introduce more documents, and using presentation, they can get through a lot more exhibits. So in some cases, 2-day depositions can be done in one day. So those are some of the unique features. So Foxit's been fantastic, and I'm just going to bring these up. So the first thing was just really the reliability of the Foxit PDF software. You know, there's others out there, but this one was fantastic for us, especially when we're deploying it across multiple platforms. Excuse me. We have a web app, we have a web manager, and we have the iOS app. So being able to deploy that and use on all of those platforms is fantastic. Image rendering speed, attorneys tend to be a little patient. So we wanted something that was quick and fast. Even though it's faster than handing out paper in the deposition room, even at a slower speed, we wanted something that was quick and fast, and Foxit certainly provided that. And then high quality annotation tools. You saw those before, but this is something, again, that the quality of a software, especially when it's a disruptive software and people are already a little hesitant, technology is kind of scary to a lot of folks, and especially attorneys. So having a high quality product that not only gets it done fast, is deployed across, and uses those tools has been fantastic for us. So our benefits. We kind of talked about some of those industry challenges before. We wanted to try and address one of those, really, or each of those one at a time. The first thing was just that cost. This offers a major cost savings to not only corporations, but to the law firms that send that bill to the corporations. So, and I'll give just a quick example, and I'll kind of touch back on each one of these. So we had a customer that had 1,500 potential exhibits that they were going to print 10 sets of and ship to New York for a 2-day deposition. They were in LA and they were going to New York. The paper cost, if they would have gone that route, would have been easily $50,000 or $60,000. There were 800,000 pages. It would have taken forever to put all that stuff together. But from a cost perspective, that would have been a $60,000 bill or more that they're handing to their client. They ended up using our system, and it cost a few thousand. I mean, it was huge cost savings in that one. The prep time, same example. I spoke to the paralegal. She came in on a weekend with a team of 3 others because, again, if you're going to print out 800,000 pages, it's going to take some time. They came in, they were done in 45 minutes uploading the document. So the prep time on this is fantastic. And again, that also adds to a cost savings back to the corporation for unnecessary billable hours. Convenience, I think it kind of goes without saying. You're walking around with a thin iPad versus, or a laptop versus boxes and boxes of paper. More control during the event, we kind of talked about that. So the taking attorney with some of those unique features allows them to whip through the deposition a little bit more conveniently, and also offer some kind of trialish type software options too, for some more theatrical impact. The data and document security, we talked about that as well. And then the environmental impact is, you know, again, one that many don't necessarily think of, but this offers a huge savings on that waste. The example that I brought up earlier, the 1,500, out of that 1,500, they only introduced 30 documents, 30 exhibits. So that left them with 14, or would have left them with 1,470 documents they didn't use, which would have been shredded. That's just a huge waste, huge waste. So it definitely impacts, and the benefits, I think, are pretty overwhelming when you take a look at it, especially in a case that size. So in summary, really, like I said before, law firms and corporations, they just use paper forever because there hasn't been an alternative until now. We offer them that option of going electronic, where a lot of their practice is already electronic. This is one of those small areas that's still done in paper. We all use technology every day. We're using it right now. I can't live without my iPhone, and I'm sure a lot of you can't either, whatever your device is. There's just so much technology that not being or not utilizing it in this area is just kind of silly, especially just giving it a try and seeing. And then finally, with Foxit platform and support, I feel anyway, and I could be biased, but there's going to be an iPad in every legal event very soon. So that's pretty much what eDepoze does. If anyone has any questions, obviously they can bring those up, and I will pass it back over to, oh, hold on, Dee Dee, let me give you control here. Go back to this. And thank you all for your attention. I truly appreciate it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeremy.
Did you take it back, Dee Dee?
Yes, I have it back.
You did. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so yeah, I encourage you all to ask questions in the panel there, and then we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so for the next section, I'm basically going to walk through some of the government solutions that Foxit offers. There's basically 8 categories here. Number 1 is around, paperless. This is around digital transformation initiatives from paper to digital, or even digital like email, other office formats to PDF or PDFA. Number 2, it's around open government, right? So openness, accountability, transparency. It's important to citizens. We have the right to access documents and proceedings, right, from government, and so there's things like the Freedom of Information Act that gives you the right to access information. There's e-discovery as well that's involved, where you have to protect. There's a lot of disclosures, public disclosures, and you need to protect sensitive data. So I'll talk about how our solutions enable sharing while also protecting the data. Number 3 is citizen engagement, personnel self-service. So whether you're government to citizen or government to government, there's basically 3 ways to interact. You can publish information, which is a one way, or you can do intake with citizens or other government personnel, and a lot of that's done through forms. And then there's some transactions, right, online services. So a lot of this starts with a form, and so I'll talk about kind of our offering in that area. Number 4, around secure real-time collaboration. So this is really important. How do you collaborate with people, right? This is to speed up the processes, not only with internally within government, but also how do you collaborate securely with people outside of government, right? And how can you do this in real time? How can you share documents and yet protect sensitive data, right, as you share it with other project teams outside of the company or defense contractors or others. Tracking, so tracking data, there's, it's really important to understand the insights into changes that are being made to your document. And why is that important is because of readership. So it's actually tracking of e-reader-like data. So for example, e-readers, they tell you, what pages you're on, what pages you've skipped. There's a lot of insight that the document owner can now see, right, through our technology. Security and compliance. So this is, especially when you're talking about the cloud, there's a lot of security issues that government's concerned about, and so we have a number of ways to ensure that there's the right compliance around our cloud offering. And then enabling accessibility. So, right, this is around making sure that the disabilities, the 508 compliance is mandated, and that our products, our PDFs comply to that mandate. Number 7, I skipped number 7. So number 7 is all about mobility, right? So as government workers, as they're out in the field, they might be capturing data. They might have a need to look at engineering documentation as they're inspecting bridges, and also mobile collaboration, right? So how do you, while you're on the road, how do you also collaborate with others from your mobile device? So I'm going to go into each one of these 8 areas. First off, we understand that PDF is important. Why is it important? There's basically widespread governmental use of PDFs. The government is one of the largest users of the technology. In 2000, U.S. federal courts adopted PDF, right, as their electronic document format. It basically mandates that to require PDFA for storage. A stands for the archiving. And this has also been standardized across not only courts, but also law enforcement and justice systems, right? As Jeremy talked as well, a lot of the legal firms also are adopting PDF and PDFA. And as you can see here, there's just extensive use of PDFs, whether it's tax forms in IRS, could be claims forms, grants, as people are applying for grants, right? A lot of that is done online, and then the PDF is created to attach documents, executive orders, any type of public disclosures, right? It's pretty pervasive throughout government. Okay, so how can Foxit help? So we basically have 3 categories of products. The first one is the end user productivity tools. So that's basically, if you're familiar with Adobe Acrobat Reader, it's basically a tool similar to that with the same level of sophistication, but at a much lower cost. It's around 30% of Adobe, and that's why we've had actually a lot of success within government. And also, it's much more user-friendly. So we have an Office ribbon, Microsoft Office navigation and user interface that makes user adoption really a piece of cake. And also, we have additional differentiators, which I'll go through the rest of the presentation and talk about those. The second area of focus is the back-end server processing, right? So we can do this through what we call enterprise automation. And this is, for example, if you have hundreds of documents in a digital mailroom that need to be scanned, then you need to do mass OCR, mass conversions, automated redactions, etc. And you're converting that to PDF or PDFA, right? So we have technology around that. If you're automating emails or Word docs to PDF, or if you have other types of formats, we have the back-end servers that's callable through a Windows service or web service that can be integrated into other applications. And then the last area of focus is for developers. So we have a full-blown platform that is open. There's open APIs and SDKs. And actually, Foxit started out in the developer solutions market because our technology is known for its high performance, small footprint, it's robust security, right? And as Jeremy talked, it's multi-platform, and basically we have one core code base, so it works across all of our solutions. So it's basically one platform for all your needs. Okay, so let's go into the first solution. So going paperless, right? I think a lot of businesses and government understand that we need to do things electronically. So what happens? The first thing is you scan, but what then happens is that you have bloated file sizes, right? So files get too large. You have unsearchable text and images. There's different types of file types. Sometimes people scan to TIFF, JPEG. Becomes difficult to manage, and there's long-term access issues, and it's basically inefficient, right? And there's even though people might take steps to go to a paperless system, there's still more obstacles associated with document capture, right? So solution number one, so we have technology that overcomes these challenges. You can do conversions and OCR through our PDF editor, similar to Acrobat, or with backend servers to automate things like compression, conversion, OCR, etc. So compression is done with our award-winning MCR layer-based compression technology. Basically, reduces sizes from 50 to 100 times smaller for color, and up to 1/10 the size for black and white. If you have other digital sources such as Microsoft Word docs, email attachments, etc., we call those digital born. So there's a module that can also convert those to PDF or PDFA. And we also have an on-premise service. So the first one is done basically through a Windows service with the user interface. And we also have a web service. It's basically a SOAP-based web service for central company-wide conversion of digital files. And again, these can be scanned documents, TIFF, JPEGs, etc., PostScript files, etc., to PDF or PDFA. And then you can integrate this into other applications. So for example, let's say in Outlook, you want to convert emails to PDF with a quick response time. So you basically can integrate a web service to do that processing, and then it returns back. Or maybe someone in finance is doing monthly invoicing, right? It needs to create PDFs maybe from an SAP finance module. Again, this is done through a web service, callable web service that can integrate into larger applications, right? And then you can also do things like automate redactions, right, which is important for public disclosures. And a lot of these redactions are based on pattern recognition or keywords. And you can also overlay watermarks across the pages. So there's a lot of flexibility provided with our backend server technology that helps paperless initiatives. Okay, number 2, so this is around transparency, open government, right? This is a critical part of government ethics. We're entitled, citizens are entitled to government documents. There's the Freedom of Information Act, right, that requires government to disclose documents, and also e-discovery, right? E-discovery, there's when there's evidence for litigation, etc. There's a lot of sharing of sensitive data with other parties that are typically PDFs. So what do you need to do? A lot of it, a lot of redaction occurs. So with our PDF editor, again, I talked about the ribbon interface. It's very easy to use, and also it does things like redaction, right? You can see here the ribbon. It has all the functionality of a full-blown PDF editor. Okay, you can also do redactions through our Office plugin, right? So you can do it through Microsoft Office, where you're redacting things from a Word document, and it produces PDFs with the redacted information. So we've partnered closely with Microsoft to protect sensitive information with basically a policy that's integrated with RMS. So Microsoft Rights Management, so basically users with the right credentials can unprotect and display the original unredacted Word doc. So that's another feature. Okay. You'll see here also in the PDF editor, you can do forms creation, redaction, OCR, all the fully functional password protection, integration with DocuSign and RMS. Okay, number 3, so citizen engagement and personnel self-service. So this is around e-complaints, tax e-forms, or even like direct personnel benefits, right, where requests take place online, right? So this usually takes place with forms that can be created, again, as I mentioned, with our PDF editor, which enables interactive fields for fillable forms. And then you can convert that into online, right, through our web forms and publish it. Okay, so you can publish it easily on the web. You can also, all the drop downs, all the check boxes, all the radio buttons, it's automatically converted for web interface. So all the users need to do, they need to log into the web browser to see the form, fill it in, and then once it's submitted, you can get notifications of their response, and all the data is kept in a centralized location, so you can reference that later, right? E-signature support is also available, and then if for forms that require a physical signature, we also have a solution. It's called Ultraforms. Basically, it creates a dynamic 2D barcode based on the data being filled in. Right? So that makes the submission process a breeze, because once it's printed out, signed, then the intake can basically scan the barcode, and all that data is automatically put into your system. Right? You don't need to retype anything. It eliminates any type of user input errors. And I have a case study I'll talk about later on that is using specifically that feature. Okay, solution number 4. So real-time collaboration. This is really a big part of the digital workforce, right? Document sharing really has become a key requirement. Whether you're working with legacy ECMs, whether you're working with cloud applications or now new cloud platforms, documents exist everywhere. And there's vendors like Dropbox and Box that can protect data basically in their multi-tenant public clouds, and basically by protecting folders, right, with access rights on those folders. So teams are invited to those folders, documents can be shared, but the question is, what happens when a file is copied or downloaded and now is no longer within that protected folder? Well, that's where we come in. So we have technology. It's called Connective PDF, which provides basically DRM, digital rights management protection on individual documents by embedding the protection into the document. So now it travels with the document. So tracking of a document is done through our cloud deployment, and we have both a public and we're coming out with an on-prem cloud solution, right, for those that need the highly secure environments. But actually, the document itself can reside on your system, right? What's kept in the cloud is basically the tracking mechanism. So you can email these documents around. You can make them available on the internet. You can keep them on your system if they're highly sensitive documents, and you can still gain all the benefits of secure collaboration. There's a few more features here that are included in this. So now you can do real-time collaborative commenting and reviews. So if you're familiar with shared reviews, or if you're familiar with Google Docs, right? You're editing documents in real time, and you're able to see each other's comments. Okay, so that's available. We also have discussion boards, instant file sharing, right? That's all part of document collaboration. And now it's a lot more secure because now we have the tracking that's embedded within each document itself. Okay, and another benefit of this technology is that it provides a way to improve or optimize readership. Right, so you want to gain insight into what the readers are actually doing with your document. So there's actually two parts of this. So number one, you want to gain an insight into where the document is traveling, and also who's copying, who's printing, etc., the file itself. But what's unique about this product or this feature is that you can get fine-grained information about what's happening inside of the document, right? So you can get information about how much time is being spent on each pages, what pages are being skipped, what lines are being redacted. Here you can see Shirley check the document into SharePoint. You can see John redacted information on page 5. Also protected the document with RMS. Carol used DocuSign to sign the doc. And Eric skipped from page 1 to page 9 and spent 20 minutes on page 9. So there's a lot of insight now that you can track. And the other benefit is not only to gain or optimize readership, but it's also for security. So if you see any unusual activity, we also can revoke at any time access. In addition, there's when we talk about security, right? There's many levels of security in sharing, but by embedding the information there, we can grant access to the files as well very easily, right? So you don't have to set up all this trust mechanism. You don't have to set up, add them to your corporate directory. It's all done through our technology. So here's some examples of some of the tracked events. Again, gaining insight into what the readers are doing is really important. And then getting these page-by-page engagement, what I call engagement analytics, et cetera. It's similar to how Google provides analytics, right, on web activities for companies tracking website behavior. Okay, number 5. So this is around, I guess I numbered this wrong. This should be number 7. Okay, so this is around security and compliance. So as we talk about the cloud, right, it's really important that you understand what we're doing with security. A lot of businesses and government are concerned about cloud, right? How do you safeguard sensitive PII, PHI, Homeland Security information that's required as part of HIPAA, Privacy Acts, and other regulatory compliance. So our technology, it's basically deployed in the cloud, but for the most secure environments, you want a private cloud deployment, right? So we offer that as well for the best protection. So again, the actual files itself, they can reside anywhere. They can remain in your SharePoint. They can remain in your system. And we can still track that information. So again, it's very secure. If you choose to upload the file to the cloud, it's fully protected with 256-bit AES encryption for data at rest. We also have SSL encryption for data in motion. We have FIPS encryption mode, which uses FIPS-approved algorithms, right, during the production of PDFs. This is in order to comply with NIST requirements for data protection. And really the key benefit for on-premise deployments is data sovereignty, right? So a lot of government agencies, they require that their data resides on U.S. soil, right? Also for safe harbor, right? For EU requirements, this is necessary. Also, we have a full set of admin controls. Again, part of security, right? You want to know what's happening. With your document, you want insight into what's happening also to the contents of your document. So we have full activity logs, real-time access control. Again, you can set expiration dates. You can enable or revoke access. We're coming out with Microsoft AD integration, right? For those that, so you don't have to set up individual users one by one. And you can register new versions, send document version update notifications, right? That's all part of the administration control. Okay, capturing field data. So this is around mobile. So inspectors, caseworkers, investigators, other mobile field workers, they're turning their smartphones into scanners in many cases, right? Mobile users can also collaborate with other users, watching changes right through our connected review feature. A lot of engineers, city and county engineers, they use their mobile devices to look at engineering diagrams, CAD files, right? A lot of those are PDFs. And we also have compression, right? So once you scan documents, the files can be large. So with our Foxit PDF scanner app, you can now apply compression, which reduces the PDF without compromising file quality, right? And it also enables app developers to integrate compression into their apps. And also we have an RDK, which provides a complete solution for scanning and integration into your backend systems. We have a lot of SDK vendors, hundreds that actually use this technology to embed this piece of functionality into their application. Okay, and this is the last one. So ensuring accessibility, right? So 508, PDF UA, it basically eliminates barriers to make available opportunities for people with disabilities, right? So we have our next release will come out with a set of new features around 508 compliance for people for visually or hearing impaired, mobile impaired, other type of disabilities, and also if you look here on the screenshot, it's basically like a checker, right? So it's like a debugger. You check your document, and it comes up here on the left side. You can see what passes and what failed, and then you can go into each individual one that failed, and you can get more information about why it failed. So it's basically like a debugger. Here's another screenshot. Okay. Okay, so basically we have one platform, and whether you're transforming paper to digital, it needs to be shared across all your employees. We have the whole publishing approval process, right, through shared reviews, compression technology and archiving, um, secure collaboration when you share documents out in the wild. You're optimizing the document, right, as you want to see what your readers are doing to your document. You might say, oh, they're stuck on this page for so long. You might want to optimize the document, right? And then it goes back into the build. So we have a full document lifecycle solution for your users. Okay, case studies. Okay, so there's 3 here I wanted to go over. This first one is the state of Hawaii Taxation Department, and they're using the 2D barcode, right? So they had to administer over 14 tax laws. It requires lots of changes, and they have to process millions of tax forms each year. There are just lots of errors as well as people were manually entering data. So they used our 2D barcode feature for forms that gave the staff gave high marks on usability. So there is a trial that's available for download, and many users use that, and it's especially when you're moving off of one product like Adobe and onto another one, it's very easy to use. So they got high marks on that during the evaluation period. Basically, they had better read rates and less errors, and over 90th percentile accuracy, right? Because now all the data is put into the system automatically. So this is from Denise Inoue. She's the supervising income tax specialist, and she says the returns were just flying through, as you can imagine. City of Evansville. So they have 121,000 citizens. They're the 3rd largest district in Indiana. And they were working with forms as well. So they needed a way to embed information from databases into forms. And so the CIO was able to use our technology to do that. For example, he needed current pricing information, right, actually embedded into his forms. As someone makes a request for like a computer, right, you want up-to-date pricing information, and so you can get that from from the web and then embed that, or from another database and embed that into the form. His specific issue was Adobe costs, right, was prohibitive. And with our technology, he was able to give out more licenses to more people. So again, it provided a lower cost alternative. Implementation was smooth. And again, for him, he really wanted self-sufficiency, and he wanted his users to be self-sufficient. And they were able to do that through all the tutorials that we have available on the internet. So his comment was, after the 60-day trial, again, people came back overwhelmingly, yeah, that's what I want. This is a defense contractor, so they do work with the Department of Homeland Security. And their challenges were around documents that were too large, right, and could not circulate through the Homeland Security network to Congress and back. They were on strict deadlines, and so they really needed compression technology. So they were able to achieve compression ratios up to 9 to 10 times improvement with ease, and it saved a lot of time and effort. And also, they were able to meet critical deadlines, right? So you can see the quote here. He really, the technology for him was amazing. That's exactly what he needed. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it up here in the next 5 minutes or so with who we are. If you haven't heard of us, we've been around since 2006, right? And we actually came out with a reader back then, but you can see over time that we have, innovated in many ways with different products and different features, but in particular, we have a lot of integrations. So we have hundreds of integrations into other applications and partnerships, right? So we have, in particular, we're integrated into Chrome and Gmail and Google Docs. We're also provided with shipping computers such as HP, Livono, Asus, Acer, and also our technology is embedded in other products like Amazon Kindle and other mobile devices. So you can see over the course of time, we've had lots of innovation, lots of partnerships, and millions of customers. Okay, so we have this is again a company overview. So we have a large office, engineering office. We're considered the number 2 PDF vendor behind Adobe, and we have over 475 million users worldwide. Okay, here's some of the government agencies that use us. You can see it spans across many departments, many agencies. We have a lot of successes around courts in particular, simply because of the need for e-filing and the need for PDFs. And we're also used by lots of other companies and lots of other industries, mainly in highly regulated industries. So you'll find us with banking, healthcare, legal, right? These are highly regulated industries. And so we're very successful in many of those markets. So how can you get started? I encourage you to go to our government website. It basically goes through the 8 solution areas that I just spoke about. So there's the website. Also, there's a white paper that's written about our connected PDF technology. This is one that embeds the DRM into your documents, so you can do secure collaboration much easier. There's a 4-minute animated video on FOIA and eDiscovery that's available on YouTube. And also, I would encourage you to try it yourself. Right? Go to our download page, and you can get a free trial. Upcoming events, we'll be at the Modernization Summit coming up in October, so come and meet us. We'll be there, and we can show you a live demo and answer any questions. Okay. And with that, now let's open it up for Q&A. And it looks like we have a few here. Okay. So first off, there's a question here for Jeremy. Question about the application, the litigation application. So do you have to use an iPad for that?
So very good question. We get that a lot. We do have an iPad app, but we also offer a web app that you can use through your preferred browser. So if you wanted to use like a Surface Pro, you could just log in through that browser, go to the web app, and you'd still have the same functionality on different types of devices. But we don't currently have an Android or other type of specific app.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. There's a question here about. Let's see. So with the Foxit product in particular, Phantom, the PDF editor, there's a need for check-in and check-out to SharePoint. So that is available. We have integration with SharePoint. We have integration with Box. These are, so again, it doesn't matter where your documents reside. We're document content management agnostic. Your documents can reside anywhere, but we do have integration with the most common document management system. So SharePoint, Documentum, OpenText, Box, etc. Okay, so question for Jeremy. How do I notify opposing counsel?
So it goes out in the notice of deposition. We have a sample one that you can utilize. It's just part of that, that process. And then there's a follow-up email that you can send, or even we can reach out to opposing counsel as well, letting them know what their options are to log into the system. And as a guest, if they come in that way, there is no charge for that. So it's really just either downloading the app and logging in as a guest, or going to the web app and accessing through that area.
Okay, thanks. Okay, there's two questions here about the connected PDF technology around the cloud, right? So it says here there's someone here from the UK, and they're being affected by the EU legislation, right, that requires data storage to be in Europe. So again, we have today we have the public cloud offering that's running on Amazon AWS in the US, but we will be coming out next month with a offering that will be available on private hosting services, so you can install that and manage it within your own data center. And so this is our on-prem option. And also, there's another question here about the same technology. So for reading these documents that have the embedded DRM, do you have to have a Foxit product? You can use any product can, like Adobe can also read these files, but if you want it protected, then you need to basically enforce the tracking on it, and in which case you can use one of our products, whether it's a free reader product, whether it's our paid PDF editor product, whether it's our mobile application, or you can use our Reader Online, right? So that's if you don't want to have any download onto your system, then Reader Online is the way to go. Okay, question here about for Jeremy, does everyone have to agree to use eDepoze? similar question.
That's a good one. No, and yes, in a way. So yes, I mean we've obviously had a lot of situations where opposing counsel thinks that the taking side is trying to be shifty or pull a fast one, and in many cases those concerns are eased just by taking a look at the software and how simple it is to use, especially as a guest. It's just like opening up PDFs, so it's not that tough. Generally, it depends on the relationship between the two parties. For the most part, they will agree to do it because they understand the benefits. And a lot of our new business, ironically, comes from opposing counsel that may have opposed it at first, but then see how it works. We recommend that, but I have had some situations where the taking side, it's their deposition, and they just tell the other side, tough, this is how we're doing it. And again, usually by the end of the day, it's not that difficult, and tempers cool off. For sure.
Okay, great. Let's see. There's two questions around OCR. So this is around our OCR component. There's a question about how to install it, number one. So the OCR component, it's actually part of our full installer, and it installs automatically. Except if you are using Chinese or Korean language, then users need to download these for users when trying to use the OCR prompt technology. But we offer it basically within the product itself. We used to offer it separately, but now it's packaged together. And then there's another question here about OCR. What is the intelligence level of scanned document OCR, and what is the resolution threshold for best results? So we use a third-party library that's tested to provide results as good or better than any other solution on the market. So there's no specific threshold. Any readable solution should provide good results. Okay, let's see. There's a couple questions here for Jeremy. Let's see. How do documents get loaded into eDepoze?
So there's a back-end web manager where you get credentials, username, and password. You would log in, and once you're inside that web manager, you create a case. Then you create a session inside of that case, be it a deposition, let's say, and then you would, inside of that session, create folders, and then pull the documents from a desktop folder or wherever those documents may reside. We generally tell folks to, if they're in like a relativity platform, say, to pull them out of relativity, put them on a folder on your desktop so that they're easily accessible, and then upload them straight from there.
Okay, and a follow-on question. How are documents stored or hosted?
We store our documents on the AWS system. There is a layer of encryption at rest, and like I said, we've been used by the DOJ on a regular basis, and that was a pretty good vetting process for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then do you have to be connected to the internet?
Yeah, good question. So it does require a Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet connection, depending on what type of device you're using. That comes in more of our support side. I mean, we generally don't just sell the software and say, good luck, I hope it works. We also work with court reporting companies during the deposition to help support it. So we'll check out the Wi-Fi, whatever location you're going to be in, just to make sure that it's adequate and can exchange the documents effectively.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to mention for the Foxit technology, we do have offline mode as well. Right, so you can download, make available the documents available if you're on the plane or something. But we also have the same type of connection. So once you connect back to the internet, if your access right has been disabled, then you'll no longer have access to that.
And real quick, Dee Dee, just to piggyback on that,
Mm-hmm.
if you're using an iPad, our system does download the documents to that device. So that does allow you to work with them very similar to what you just said, on a plane, somewhere where you don't have Wi-Fi connectivity. You can organize, annotate, and then once you reconnect, that would sync back up with that back-end database too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And who brings the device for the witnesses? Who helps the witness?
That's a good point. So the court reporting companies will provide the iPad for the witness. The court reporters are certified, so they will come with some knowledge on the system, kind of help troubleshoot or help get everybody set up if needed. But that's provided by the court reporting companies on a general basis. Some law firms prefer to have their own device that they give the witness, but it's really generally court reporting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Okay, and let's see. Just one more question here. So, how do users get trained for you?
eDepoze?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a pretty extensive training program that kind of it meets you wherever you need to be met. So we've got some real basic documents that are almost like opening up your iPhone, and there's little pictures that an attorney, to some extent, could walk into the deposition and just start using. And then we also have a video series that you can watch, reference documents, etc. But we have a training department as well that can help, especially on your first couple of depositions, get you up to speed, get you trained, and get you going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have similar training here. We have a lot of our for the PDF editor. It's pretty simple. Like I said, it's usability is a piece of cake. So there's we have lots of tutorials online to guide users. We also have an hour webcast that's done that'll walk you through all the features. And then for our server products, we also have training and SDK as well. Okay, so I think we're out of time. So thank you for attending today's webinar. And I'd also like to thank Jeremy for an outstanding job on sharing his solution that uses our technology. With that,
yeah, thank you, and thank you for the technology.
Yes. And with that, thanks for having us here today. It's been a great pleasure speaking with all of you, and we hope to see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.